Hi guys, I hope you're all keeping well and safe. Welcome to Early Years Matters TV. On this channel, we focus on everything early childhood related. And if these are the kind of videos you're looking for, what you have to do, subscribe. And not just subscribe, turn on that notification bell so that whenever a new video is being dropped on this channel, you'll be the first person to be notified. Today, I have an interesting topic. I'm going to be talking about what are the benefits of having an inclusive early childhood classroom. Yes, today's discussion is going to be all about the benefits of having an inclusive early childhood classroom. Are you an early childhood educator, a room leader, or a preschool owner? You're thinking of having an inclusive early childhood classroom, or perhaps you have an inclusive early childhood classroom and you're wondering what are the benefits? Don't go anywhere. This video is for you. First, I'll start by defining what is culturally inclusive early childhood classroom. Yes. Perhaps it's important that I start by defining what is culturally inclusive early childhood classroom. So when we're talking about a culturally inclusive early childhood classroom, it's a classroom address and support the needs of the children from diverse culture and value their uniqueness. Yes, this is a classroom address and support the needs of children from diverse environment, from diverse culture, and value the contribution, what they bring into the early childhood classroom. This is important. You need to understand that in the era of early childhood, every child is unique. They have their own strengths, they have their own background, what they're contributing, what they're bringing into the early childhood classroom. And in relation to having an inclusive early childhood classroom, this is all about embracing and acknowledging the diverse that each child in your early childhood classroom contributes or bring into the early childhood classroom. So when you do this, you're embracing diversity, you're acknowledging that differences don't exist. Yes, in as much as differences exist, this is what makes the children in your early childhood classroom unique. And not just the children, even yourself. This is what makes you to be unique. This is what makes you to stand out as an early childhood educator, because you're addressing, you're supporting, and you're promoting the diverse culture that exists in your early childhood classroom. So now that you know what is a culturally inclusive early childhood classroom, now let's talk about some of the benefits. One of the benefits is that the children in your early childhood classroom with confidence and safe with differences. Yes. As a result of having a culturally inclusive early childhood classroom, the children in your early childhood classroom, they will feel confident and safe about differences. Yes, they know that differences exist. And they now see that this is what makes people to be unique. No child is going to feel inferior. So because you're acknowledging, you're celebrating cultural differences, you have a culturally inclusive early childhood classroom, the children will be able to see that, yes, differences exist, but they will be able to feel safe and confidence in relation to celebrating these differences. Yes, it does exist. But this is what makes everyone unique, because it's what children are bringing. It is what they are contributing into the early childhood classroom. And you, as the early childhood educator, you acknowledge this, you're celebrating this, and the children can see this. And in return, this will make them to feel safe, confident about the differences. They will feel safe, they will feel confident about differences that does exist in the early childhood classroom. To embrace diversity and culture, yes, the children will see that, yes, diversity does exist. There's cultural differences in the early childhood classroom, but they'll be able to embrace this. They'll be able to diversity and culture that exists in the early childhood classroom. Yes, they'll be able to see that, yes, each child is different in their own way, but this is what makes them unique. They'll be able to celebrate this. Yes, differences does exist in terms of culture, in terms of background, but the children will be able to celebrate this because they see that you, the early childhood educator, you're a culturally inclusive early childhood classroom. And in return, this would encourage the children to embrace the culture that exists in the early childhood classroom. Become more empathetic. Yes, they'll become empathetic in the sense that they'll be able to put themselves in other. For instance, they'll be able to put themselves in relation to the differences that exist in the early childhood classroom. They'll be able to for instance, they'll be able to acknowledge that, yes, other culture does exist, but it doesn't mean that because of other culture exists, their culture is inferior to mine. They'll be able to be empathetic towards other culture. For instance, this is for food. In your early childhood classroom, the children might come in with different food, and the other child, maybe there's a particular child that is from another culture. They come into the early childhood classroom with a different type of food. Then the other children in the early childhood classroom will be empathetic. They'll be able to put themselves in the child's shoes. Yes, the child wants to celebrate their culture through their food. So they're not going to feel that the other child's culture is inferior. Or why is this child bringing different type of food that compared to ours? So they'll be empathetic that yes, differences don't exist. For instance, let's say if you're celebrating cultural day, a multicultural event in your early childhood classroom, the children will be able to be empathetic towards other culture. They'll be able to put themselves in other, oh, this is how they celebrate their culture. They see that yes, different culture does exist. You're doing this through promoting multicultural events. You're hosting multicultural events in your early childhood classroom. The children will see this. They'll be able to be empathetic. They'll be able to embrace the different culture that exists by putting themselves in other children's shoes. Okay, this is how their culture different. Maybe for instance, in the way they dress, in the way they talk, their culture, their language. Then they'll be empathetic towards other children. They'll be able to embrace other culture. Yes, their culture is different, but that's what makes them unique. And in return, they'll be able to embrace this culture that does exist in the early childhood classroom. Helpful. If you do, please kindly subscribe. And in my next video, I'm going to be continuing in relation to some of the other benefits of having a culturally inclusive early childhood classroom. Your way next time. Stay safe and mind yourselves for now. Bye.